Welcome everyone to the third episode of Hang 10 with Quinn. You can't picture me right now, but if you could somehow formulate an image of me in your mind, whatever that image is, maybe you picture me at a park, maybe it's in a McDonald's drive-thru, wherever it is, know that I'm wearing sunglasses. Why am I wearing sunglasses? I'm wearing sunglasses because I ate spicy food today. And when I eat spicy food, fun fact about me, my eyes cross. Something my body does to help see me through it. You know, when a shark attacks its prey, their eyes roll into their back of the head. You know, you ever seen Jaws? Captain Quinn lays it out for you. When I eat spicy food, my eyes cross. Today was a hot tamale. So I'm wearing sunglasses. If I were to take them off, I would look like a proverbial epileptic. Like someone tortured me with a 24-hour marathon of Pokemon Kanto region. You know, those episodes were dangerous. You had to be a Jedi when you were a kid, man. Back in my day, with the anime and the cartoons we watched, they were dangerous. They caused seizures. I believe a couple episodes of Pokemon did. I know there's one such episode that featured a Porygon, which was one of the more forgettable Pokemon. But anyway, Pikachu, the star of the series, would cast out a thunderbolt, intentionally 2 dimensions, but it would pierce through the television screen 3 dimensions into these poor kids' brains, send their eyes flickering across each other. You know, they'd get the shakes and rattles. It was crazy. It was insane. Pokemon was a revolution, man. I spent a lot of money and a good amount of time of my youth in the Pokemon world. The show, in hindsight, really propagated some matchups that were complete and utter bullshit. I remember when Ash went and fought Brock, who was the Pewter City gym leader, and his specialty was rock and ground type Pokemon. When it came down to it, at the end of the episode, Brock had his Onix, and Ash was left with his Pikachu. And if the games are canon, you don't take an electric Pokemon against a rock type Pokemon. That's no bueno. You know, nothing's gonna pop off there. And in the show, it was going that way, and there was some bullshit technicality where the electricity emitted from Pikachu turned on the sprinkler system, and the water started raining down on Onix, water being the weakness of all rock-type Pokemon, and Pikachu got the dub. Really what it shows is that Brock was a shitty gym leader and had no real business holding such a title. He sucked. He was the worst. It should have been a gimme matchup. It's a terrible matchup for a Pikachu. A terrible matchup. Speaking of terrible matchups, originally, going into Friday, we were led to believe that in 1 week's time at UFC Fight Island, July 11th, Kamaru Usman would be defending his welterweight title against Gilbert Burns. It comes out Friday, I believe Friday, it might have been Saturday, but that Gilbert Burns and his entire corner tested positive for COVID-19. The fight is canceled. The main event is off. Or so we thought. Lo and behold, Street Jesus himself, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, steps in. The BMF title belt holder. The fight that we originally all wanted. The true champion versus the true number 1 contender. The fates are aligning. You know, how fortuitous. and it's a banger of a card. Absolute banger of a card. It may be... And it's crazy because all the fights up to this point have been absolutely stellar. Somehow, in this dark abyss of a of a year we're having, the UFC is managing to put on some gangbusters of some fights. Poirier versus Hooker last weekend. Gaethje versus Ferguson. Like, shit's just going crazy. And now we get Usman versus Masvidal for the true undisputed welterweight title. It's amazing. Now, like I said earlier, it's a terrible matchup for Jorge. Because I think we know what Usman's going to try to do. He's going to grind Jorge out against the fence. Ground and pound. That's Usman's game plan. I don't think he's going to be able to get a submission. Damian Maia couldn't get a submission against Jorge Masvidal, and Damian Maia took Jorge's back a couple times and couldn't secure any sort of submission. Armbar, rear naked choke. Jorge's tough, resilient. He's game bred. But there's just something going on, man. There's something in the air. The favorite, and rightfully so, is Kamaru Usman. But the fates have aligned. The planets have aligned. And in the images being released of Jorge Masvidal getting tested in amidst negotiations for this fight, dude's had a ear-to-ear smile on his face. Like a wolf. Wolves are sly, man. I think he's got something up his sleeve. He's got an ace in the hole. I'm not sure what it is. But my pick for the main event, UFC Fight Island, July 11th, I'm picking Jorge Masvidal to finish Kamaru Usman. I'm taking the underdog. Now, that's the main event. But that's not the people's main event, and it's certainly not where my heart aligns. It's not my main event. What we also got, we got Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski for the featherweight title, the rematch. In the last fight, Volkanovski defeated Max Holloway by decision. Rightfully so. I thought Volkanovski won the fight. But I do think momentum was swinging into Max's way. And this is the biggest question going into this next fight. The momentum from rounds 4 and 5 that were swinging in Max Holloway's favor, will they carry through into a fast start for this next fight? That's what I think Max needs to win this fight. I think he needs to start fast. He cannot let Alexander Volkanovski breathe. Not for 1 second. He has to drown him quick. Can't let him get his timing down. If he can do that, then I think the featherweight title comes back to Oahu, and all is right in the world. Hawaii has a champion again in the men's division, of course, in men's MMA. There's also a third... What? 1, 2, 3? Uno, dos, tres? There's a third title fight on UFC Fight Island. Jose Aldo, longtime featherweight champion, arguably the greatest featherweight of all time, will be fighting for the vacant bantamweight title. It's 135 pounds against Russia's Piotr. It's either Piotr or Piotr. It's a difficult one. But we'll say Piotr Yan out of Russia. This fight is really difficult. Oh, I didn't make my pick for the Holloway Volkanovski fight. I'm going Max to win by 5-round decision. I think he's gonna do exactly what or at least what I'm hoping happens. I think the momentum, the adjustments Max made in rounds 4 and 5 in their last fight, I think will carry over enough to give him the quick start and the head start he needs to beat Alexander Volkanovski and to get the belt back. And then, we'll have a third fight. A rubber match to settle it. It'll be awesome. Can't count Alexander Volkanovski out. I mean, he comes from a stellar team, City Kickboxing, Eugene Behrman, and those boys. So, definitely not taking him lightly. But this podcast is a pro Hawaii podcast, and we're going Max Holloway to win by decision, 5-round decision. The Jose Aldo Peter Yan fight. To be honest, I haven't seen a lot of Peter Yan's fights. I watched his bout with Uriah Faber yesterday. And, man, crisp hands, crisp boxing. Patient. Patient when he needs to be. And it, turns it on. Explosive. Real fast twitch. So, I don't know. This is a pick 'em to me. But I've known Jose Aldo for longer. I've rooted for him for longer. I mean, he's a legend of the sport. I'm going to go Jose Aldo. I'm going to go Jose Aldo 5-round decision. There's another big fight on the card, and it's not a title fight, and it's the last thing, the second to last thing we'll talk about. And that's former UFC women's strawweight champion Thug Rose Namajunas coming back, and she's taking on the woman who defeated her, Jessica Andrade. In their original fight, I thought Rose was teeing her up. I thought she was, on her way to cruise into a decision, and they clinch up. If I'm remembering this correctly, they clinch up. Almost looked like Rose was going for a kind of like a Kimura to either separate or to sweep, and Jessica just lifts her and then drops her like a meteor out the sky and knocks Rose out. So, who knows? But I like Rose to win this one. I'm pulling for her to win this one, personally. Got to root for the Americans. Got to root for your countrymen. We'll see what happens. I mean, Jessica Andrade is explosive. She's dangerous. She's powerful. She probably has the most powerful hands in that division. And for sure, probably the most powerful slams. But I like Rose in that fight. And I'm going to go Rose to get a finish within 3 rounds. Yeah. So here are my picks for UFC Fight Island July 11th, which I highly encourage everyone to check out. In the main event, I'm picking Jorge Masvidal to finish Kamaru Usman. In the co-main event, I'm picking Max Holloway to beat Alexander Volkanovski by a unanimous decision. I'm picking Jose Aldo to defeat Peter Yan by decision. And then I'm picking Thug Rose to beat Jessica Andrade by TKO. And that's pretty much gonna occupy the entirety of my next week until that happens, man. The UFC is dominating my mind right now. It's taking up the entirety of my live sporting bubble. July 11th, UFC Fight Island. I highly encourage everyone to check it out. And, yeah. Now, there's one last thing I just want to say before we wrap up episode 3. A bit longer of an episode. On Friday, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, the father of Khabib Nurmagomedov, UFC lightweight champion, passed away at the age of 57, 58 due to corona-related complications. And I think it's important that we take a moment to recognize that this was a great man. Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, I would be doing injustice to try to sum up his life in a minute and a half. But what I will say is that, just briefly, his impact on the youth of Dagestan in taking young men and giving them a goal, a motive, a drive, something to work towards that wasn't violent or damaging to the community, but instead built them up as men through sport, has proven to be invaluable. I feel comfortable in saying that Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov is he's the Bruce Lee of Dagestan, maybe even Russia, but he's as far as philosophy and legacy and his impact on the people of Dagestan and on martial arts. Abdulmanap is Bruce Lee level master, sensei level. So, rest in peace, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov. It's tough. Our heartfelt prayers go out to Habib. I would encourage everyone out there, in closing, to wear a mask if you're out in public. A lot of bad things can be avoided if you sacrifice just a small amount. And statistically speaking, things will not return to normal or open up until overall numbers go down. So I would encourage everyone to do what they have to do to help bring that to happen. And that is it. I want to bid everyone farewell. Thank you for stopping by. Aloha. Deuces.